Good morning, my beautiful bookish friends. Today we're going to be talking fantasy books. I love fantasy books, specifically romantasy. If this is your vibe, we are going to talk about all of these books, the ones I loved, the ones I completely adore, and the ones I did not even finish, and the ones I did not like. And we're going to talk about why, and we're going to talk about the different authors. If you are looking for your next fantasy book, or you're looking to kind of hear somebody's perspective about the different genres and subgenres that are within fantasy at the moment, these are some of the books that I have read this winter and loved and been obsessed with, and now obviously have to talk about. So I'm bringing it here so that we can chat about them together. If you are new to this channel, welcome. Hi, my name is Freya Blythe. I am the owner of the Bookshop by the Sea, which is a small independent bookshop in a tiny town in Wales, right by the coast. It's beautiful and magical, and we do herbal tea, and we obviously sell a lot of fantasy books. In fact, I think it's our biggest selling genre, probably because me and all of my staff love fantasy. So I think when you're passionate about a subject, you sell more of it because we just love it so much. But if you're new to this channel, hi. We do book recommendations and show like the behind the scenes of the bookshop. I'm currently writing my book, which is very exciting. So that's what I've been doing, finishing editing, sent it off to my agent now. Yay, so that's so exciting. And I will be back in the bookshop in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm very much looking forward to all summer and spring, kind of decorating the bookshop for Easter and like seeing all of you who come and visit this summer. That's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. Obviously for safety reasons, I can't tell you when I'll actually be in the shop, but I really hope I get to meet some of you and see you in real life. That always means so much to me, and it also means so much to me when you comment below. I know I've been a little bit AWOL, but that's also because sometimes you need a break. And let me just give you that permission too. If you need a break sometimes from social media and this vast expanse that we have kind of to reach the whole world, that's okay. I want to give you permission right now. You can hole up with fantasy books and escape to entirely different realms, which is what I've been doing. So just please do comment below if you've read any of these books and what you're reading now and what are you loving, because I've been reading cozy like romance, and now I'm on to fantasy, and I would love to hear your recommendations too. Okay, let's get started. This is the book I just finished. I am currently reading book 2 of this right now. I actually went to a late night opening bookshop yesterday because I had to have book 2. So many people have recommended Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole, which is the Kindred Curse saga, to me. And I have heard this recommended for probably about 2 years. It's a completed trilogy, which I absolutely love. So you can read all 3 and you don't have to be waiting for kind of books 2 and 3 to come out, which I do feel in an age where I'm waiting on a lot of other series to be finished. This one is finished already, which I loved. It is a slow burn, and I will say that's true, and I think that's what put me off reading it for a while, because I love a romantasy where the fantasy is as quick as a romance and the romance is intense. I would say the romance is intense in this one, and although it is a slow burn, you get a lot of the 2 of them together, so you actually get a lot of this banter and back and forth. So this world is a mortal world that's been colonized by gods and ruled over by the Descended, who are a cruel, sort of semi-immortal race, and they wield magic. The mortals are oppressed and they do not wield magic, and they kind of live in kind of colorless kind of oppression, and any kind of offspring of the mortal and Descended is forbidden. So yeah, that's completely forbidden. And then in that you have DM Bellator, who is the main character, who kind of wants to dream bigger, and she's fierce and she's bold, and I'm trying to do this without spoilers, but she's got this fire in her that burns, and I felt like that was so relatable. Like the feminine rage was so good in this book, and she also makes mistakes and is flawed, and I really loved that too. So then the king is dying. This is not spoilers, it's on the blurb. The king is dying, and so we're kind of looking at the new heir who's rising up, and will his reign be different, and what's DM's part going to be in that. She's currently a healer at the start of the book, so kind of seeing where her journey goes. Her mum is mysteriously absent, and so we're trying to track down her mum at the same time. Yeah, it's exciting because it feels like it's a full world, this one, but it's quite a gentle magic. Like, there's nothing in this that is horrible. There's nothing, well, no, you don't see anything horrible happen on the pages. There is the unaliving of these mortal and descended children that is spoken of, but you do not see that. And I have to say I've really enjoyed that, because a lot of fantasy, it gets really dark. It gets really dark, and there's a lot of fighting and war. That hasn't happened yet in book 1, hasn't happened yet in book 2. Obviously it is a fantasy world, so there's probably going to be a war at some point, but it hasn't happened yet, and so it's kind of more about the rebellion and the magic. So I really enjoyed this one so far. Yeah, I'm loving it. Enemies to lovers, just lovely. Yeah, this is actually the Australian version, so it's a little bit of a bigger hardback, and it's got a paperback, and it's got these lovely illustrations on, but you can see compared to kind of some of the English ones, which are kind of that small, so it's nice because you get a bit of a bigger font as well. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna try and do this spoiler free, which I don't think I'll manage for the next book. So if you haven't read any of the Sarah J Maas universe yet, what are you waiting for? She is one of my favourite fantasy writers, favourite writers at the moment in general. She's so detailed and her worlds are so full. So if you haven't started any of her books, I would not recommend to start with this beast. I would say start with Akatar, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I love Beauty and the Beast, so I read it because of that. But then book 2 blows that entire world apart, and it becomes, I think book 1 is kind of young adult. Book 2, definitely not. It's definitely in the new adult / adult genre then. It kind of blows that world apart, rips it apart by the teeth and goes, oh, did you think it was romantic that the beast locked her up in the tower? Let's take another look at that, shall we? And kind of as the main character, who's called Feyre, sort of develops her awareness of the world, the new magical world that she's been thrown into, so do you as a reader. And I really like that because it deals with her psyche of having gone into the magic world as a mortal and her trauma. I think so many of these books, like the main characters experience something really traumatic and then kind of pick up and carry on. No, she's like throwing up in the corner, not able to sleep, waking up in the middle of the night. Like she has to process it. And I really like that. And it's got some of my favourite characters in the whole world are in books 3 and 4 and 5. So A Court of Silver Flames with Nesta and Cassian. You don't know who they are if you only read book 1, so I would urge you kind of continue past book 1. But once you reach Court of Silver Flames, which is a kind of very distinctive orange book, that has incredible characters who have so much character development and kind of goes through her healing process. And she heals by training in a magical library and also training as a warrior. So I feel like if that's your vibe, that's a book. And Sarah J Maas said that she was recently on Call Me Daddy podcast, and she was talking about the series that she's writing the next books of, so this one and A Court of Thorns and Roses series. And she was saying how she bases a lot of the characters' trauma on her own life and her own experience. And I think that you feel that, like when you're reading the books, you feel that, you know, it's authentic, and someone who's had a breakdown writes a really authentic breakdown. And I think that's really important when you're reading them. And I think that's why so many people relate. But this one, this is a House of Flame and Shadow, Crescent City novel. So this is the most recent one that she's published. It is huge. I read it when it came out. However, I didn't love it. It's book 3 in the Crescent City series. So there's A Court of Thorns and Roses, Throne of Glass, and then Crescent City is her 3rd series. This is a fantasy book, but set in a cityscape. So there's weaponry that we wouldn't necessarily see in a typical magical world. There's Asteri, which are sort of fallen angels that rule over this city, which has different races like merfolk and werewolves, and vampires and mortals and humans and fae. So Bryce Quinlan is one of the most badass characters you're going to meet. She is a fierce warrior and fighter, and she's amazing. In this book, what we see is, this is like book 3, a crossover. This is where spoilers begin. A crossover between the series. So you get Bryce Quinlan from this series going into the Akatar universe. And I can't believe, like, authors who manage to mind map these entire worlds and then make them crossover. I think that that's extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. I hope you're here with a cup of tea, by the way, just enjoying this little podcast. You can just have it on in the background while you're doing something else. But this is extraordinarily complex, and she draws a lot of the threads together. She does amazing twists and turns, and her world building is exquisite. However, when the crossover happened, I think a lot of us wanted more of the characters that we already love from the other series. So more Nesta, more Cassian, more Azriel, my baby. And not much of the world is set. So I think it was a little bit disappointing the first time. However, this time I've gone back and I've been reading and highlighting and kind of going through the chapters that focus just on the crossover, because on the Call Her Daddy podcast, we had Sarah J Maas revealing that she's going to bring out the next 2 books in October and January. So we're all very excited, and that obviously means we had to reread part of this one to kind of look for clues and look for theories. So yeah, I couldn't recommend the Court of Thorns and Roses series enough, and the next one's going to be out in October, so this is a good time to start it. Remember, just a little reminder, if you are UK based, you can order any of these books, and in fact any books at all, off of our website. It is, you just go to the Bookshop bythesea.co.uk and then you click on buy books. It will take you through to our bookshop.org page where you can buy anything sent direct to your door, supports independent instead of kind of these other things that shall remain unnamed. Supports independent, helps like keep your local community alive, and we actually make the same amount of money if you buy the book online through our website, again UK only, or if you buy it in the shop. So feel free to do that, and thank you so much if you are able to do that. If you know anyone in the UK, tell them to do that. Okay, the next one that I read in this last month, Brimstone by Callie Hart. So this is the second in the Quicksilver series. If you've been reading Sarah J Maas and you're thinking, what can I possibly read that will grip me as much as this book? They're roughly the same size. This book, this one is amazing. It is a New York bestseller. A lot of people talk about it on TikTok. There's a reason. Quicksilver is fantastic. It's set kind of in this desert world where water is the strongest currency. There are then portals that go between the worlds. Kingfisher is a immortal fae who has been transported between the worlds and kind of kidnaps Saoirse Fane. I can't give you much information about it, but just know that there's different courts that are set up within it. She fights like a badass. The world's kind of very much open up, and if you like the fact that Sarah J Maas has lots and lots of different characters that you also fall in love with, I'd say the same thing for this one. You like a lot of them. What I did not like about this book is that I did feel the characters were, while they did have backstory, I felt like they were a little bit shallower. And that's just for me. I want to see characters that have hobbies. I want to see characters that have joys in life as well as struggles. This is very much full like fantasy fighting battles, like whereas I did find in the Sarah J Maas books you have characters like Feyre loves painting, Bryce Quinlan loves dancing, and I really like Elaine loves baking and gardening, and I really love that these characters kind of have more to them. And I would say that's a personal pet peeve of mine, when the female and male main characters don't have any hobbies or like enjoy their life. I'm like, give me some personality, you know? But very gripping, very fantasy world, you know, 100% would read the next ones. The other thing I didn't like, don't know if you can see, the pages are all coming out. Obviously you can see that. They're fully coming out. And so by the time I got to the end of the book, I just felt like that was a bit poor. That's, yeah, obviously they're roughly the same size. So I did think that I would have liked that one to stay together a bit more. Okay, Where the Library Hides by Isabel Ibanez. I would say this is softer kind of fantasy. This is book 2 for What the River Knows, set in a kind of magical ancient Egypt, Cairo, think like Cairo in 1885. So there's betrayal, there's murder, there's a little bit of magic, there's romance, but not too much. I think this is perfect if you kind of like Agatha Christie and kind of murder mysteries, but this is still kind of within that cozy realm. Like nothing too awful is happening in this one, whereas in this one, be prepared. And in the Sarah J Maas, be prepared. Like I would not recommend this one for anyone under 18, just PSA. And there are scenes that you might want to skip. Oh, hello. Oh, that was so lovely. That was just a neighbour coming to the door and saying hello. So gorgeous. Okay, so if we want to go back to this one, so this is a completed duology. If you like Stephanie Garber, so if you like Caraval or things like that, I think you'll really like this one. In fact, she recommends it on the front, and I do think that that's the right kind of fit. This is definitely okay for kind of younger readers as well. So if you are wanting to buy it for someone who's 15, 16, 17, yeah, this one's fine. I really liked it. There's a bit of mystery, perfect for reading in a warm country, perfect summer reading. Yeah, if you like kind of being in other cultures as well. Great characters, really full, really alive, amazing costumes. Okay, so that was part 1, which was all of these books. I've managed to talk about them so much. We're going to head on and do a juicy little part 2 of my favourite fantasy, including what fantasy books I'm looking forward to reading, and can't wait. So head over to that video and grab another cup of tea or have a little listen. Just love sharing this space with you. Love chatting books with you so much. See you soon, friends. Mwah. Bye.